Waking up as the villainous second male lead in a novel, I immediately received a divorce agreement. George Thomas back-signed the papers and leave, don't let him see you. I glanced at the number on the check and instantly understood my wife's love has returned. She wants me to step aside. I quickly signed the papers. Let someone else be the substitute if they want. The divorce agreement is signed, and there's still a month left in the cooling-off period. I lie on the spacious bed in the villa, feeling quite complicated, having crossed into a novel and become the villain, second male lead. I quickly adapted to life here. In the original story, the second male lead is infatuated with the female lead who is my ex-wife and repeatedly causes trouble, kidnapping her to threaten the male lead. As a result, he ends up blown to bits. Thinking of this, I cover me bank card and look at the balance on my phone, letting out a long sigh of relief. There are plenty of fish in Thesia. It's just women with money in a house who needs to worry about not having a wife, going against a male lead. How desperate could one be? George, I'm a normal man and I'm clear-headed. I would never do such a thing. I signed the papers. Will take it slow. Life still goes on. Just as I was about to sleep, my phone rang. The contact labeled as wife. Mary is calling. Could it be that she regrets it? I haven't even warmed up the money yet. After answering, a cool voice came through. George, take all your things away. Tom will be unhappy if he sees them, then just throw them away. I was about to say it, but I thought better of it. Why not take them? Although, Mary has been a bit cold. She is generous. The things she bought for me are quite valuable. I cleared my throat and said, okay, it'll be there right away. Afraid she might change her mind, I rushed over. After hanging up, upon arriving at the villa, I was surprised to find that Mary was actually there. She was wearing an exquisite black suit, barefoot with light pink nail polish on her bows toes. Her calves were smooth and straight as she casually leaned against the sofa, her gaze to fur makeup, exquisite, exuding a sense of laziness. This Mary is stunning and no blind. The book George grandfather saved Mary's father, which is how they were able to marry. Otherwise, how could a family like George, with such humble beginnings, ever be connected to Mary? Shook my head. Forget it, let's pack up. I went up to the second-floor bedroom, pushed the door open, and found the room cold and empty. The wardrobe was filled with branded clothes for all seasons, some of which still had the tags on. IV struck it rich. The new clothes can be sold for a good price later. The others can be worn daily, saving me quite a bit in clothing expenses. In the drawers, there were over a dozen watches and diamond cufflinks. The other miscellaneous items, though I don't understand them, clearly aren't cheap based on the logos. I packed all the clothes and accessories into a boxes. Just as I was about to leave, I inexplicably felt a heaviness in my chest and couldn't help but sit on the edge of the bed by some strange impulse. I bent down and dragged out a cardboard box from underneath. Inside, I found a diary and a photo album. What is this? January 1st, Mary the 1st. Finally met her today, father said. She is my fiancée. I did expect her to be so beautiful. I think I might like her. January 5th, the Gist family looks down on me. Mary talked to me saying, we are just a nominal couple. It hurt a bit, but I agreed as long as I could see her. March 11th, we got married. Mary set the day, saying it coincided with the company's 10th anniversary, and we held it together. I had no objections. March 12th, Mary gave me an agreement stating that when that person returns, I would have to leave. I didn't want to sign, but facing her gaze, I compromised it in. This everything is recorded by George Dow about his moments with Mary. After reading it, I felt a mix of emotions. What is this? A perfect example of a devoted admirer. Mary has been cold all day and George actually managed to be with her for 3 years now that the main character has returned. He has too. Going to hiding, he must be furious, and I just happened to come in at the right moment. I shook my head, put the diary, and took another look at the photo album. When I opened it, I was stunned. It was all Mary sitting, standing, scoldings, leaping every single one. This George really likes her. I thought he was just a sickly jealous type. I didn't expect him to love her to the core. There were notes in the album detailing all of Mary's preferences down to the smallest detail. But then again, Mary is stunning and wealthy. Who wouldn't like her? It's just that one should have self-awareness and know when to stop. I packed everything up, called for a truck, and just as I went downstairs, I saw a Cullinan pull up outside, and a man got out of the car. He was about 1.8 meters tall with a fair complexion, glasses perched on his nose, and a slender build. He looked somewhat melancholic and a bit pale. His brows and eyes resembled mine somewhat, but I was much healthier and sunnier than him. Are you George? Thank you for taking care of Mary these past few years. I understood this was the male lead Tom. I forced a smile. You're welcome, Mary, and I take care of each other. We're a couple. His face visibly darkened, and I couldn't help but sneer internally. Mary and I hadn't even gotten a divorce certificate yet, and this man was already showing up just as I was about to speak. Mary exclaimed from behind me, Tom, what are you doing here? Like a gust of wind rushed past me, straight into Tom's arms. Turning around to look at me, she said, why aren't you leaving yet? Her gaze was cold and sharp, and I couldn't help but scoff. Mary, are you that impatient? If you don't think of yourself, at least think of the company. If someone sees or photographs you, Mr. Tom will become the third party. After all, we haven't gotten a divorce certificate yet. Mary's face turned ugly and Tom frowned, his expression darkening. I wasn't afraid at all. I met their gaze heating. Mary looked anxious. George, you promised. Yes, I promise, but I also have my pride. If you want a divorce, just wait patiently. I wasn't going to be a pushover, specializing them embrace in front of me. No matter how weak I felt, I couldn't just let it slide. Before Mary could speak, Tom pulled her and said, first, you've misunderstood. I haven't seen Mary in 3 years, and just here to catch up with Heron. There are quite a few friends. If you're willing, why not join us? The friends of the male lead are naturally from an upper class circle. If you can't fit in, don't force it. No need, I have things to do. But let me remind you of something. I pointed at Tom. There are boundaries between men and women, and your circle is quite chaotic. So be careful. After saying that, I looked at Mary. She should understand my meaning. Stepping back to keep her distance from Tom. Tom's face darkened. Instantly he looked at me, his eyes filled with frost. I snorted coldly and headed straight to my villa with the truck. This was the villa that Mary had left in my name, and with these clothes and accessories, the future wouldn't be difficult. I sold all the new clothes at a second-hand store for $80 a furning, $300. The remaining accessories were also sold off, and my bank account balance was once again healthy, even after the divorce. Having so much money, man, I could take it easy. However, I still have work to finish. Working at the Yee's family company now that I was getting a divorce. Should I continue or resign? If I don't resign and Jai fires me, I can still get a sum of money anyway. Since I've already entered this story, I can't suffer. I can only focus on making money. But the male lead's halo was even more powerful than I thought. After one night, the trending surges exploded. Mary called me early in the morning, shouting, George, are you doing this on purpose? I was stunned and took a while to respond. What are you talking about? You did it on purpose. Yesterday, right? If I find out it was you who hired someone, you know the consequences. Before I could say anything, she hung up. I was left confused, looking at my phone notifications, and then I understood someone had taken photos of me moving, and Mary and Tom were also in F pictures. I don't know which paparazzi got such clear shots. JIS Family Beauty CEO, divorces suspected first love mistress takes the position. Mary is the most favored heir of the Gist family, and my marriage to her was just a formality. Not many outside knew. Beautivarian in the circle was aware. If the paparazzi could expose this, who knows which blind fool did it right now. Tom had become the target, and I was suffering from an undeserved disaster. After thinking for a moment, I tried to call Mary, but the line was busy. I had no choice but to send her a message. I didn't want to complicate things further. Mary didn't reply, but the online sentiment started to shift. Tom and Mary are first loves, and they are recognized as a model couple at a university. That guy is the real mistress. My aunt works as a maid in the Jiggis family. She said George forced Mary to marry him. Otherwise, why was there no wedding? Hello, 3 years ago because of a car accident and couldn't come back. Yeah, I was wondering how Tom could interfere. It turns out he was set up. George is really disgusting. Has Mary finally gotten rid of the she deserves better. Tom had become the lovesick fool, while I had turned into the unscrupulous villain to achieve my goals. Occasionally, some comments defended me, but they were quickly drowned out by negative reviews that got their accounts banned. I was furious. It was hypocritical of them to act so sentimental. Where were they 3 years ago? Just because he had a car accident doesn't mean he couldn't call now. He pretends to be so emotional. Mary hadn't replied to me, and I clenched my fists. If this matter wasn't resolved, I wouldn't be leaving this marriage before I could find Mary. Someone from the Venus family came knocking at my door. I was just about to eat when the front door was banged on loudly. Who was here to cause trouble at this time? I opened the door to see a middle-aged couple looking at me with anger. My heart skipped a beat. Deep down, I felt a surge of emotion. George, you really are something. You dare to move out. Where is Miss Mary? What are you standing there for? I've been looking for you with your mother for a long time, and you're the one who's enjoying yourself. It turned out to be George's parents. To be fair, in the original story, George's parents only used him. If they had shown him more love, he wouldn't have felt so resentful and ultimately taken a wrong path. But now, I was George, and I certainly wouldn't let them succeed. Sitting at the table, I continued eating. The woman in front of me slammed a theatable. You still have the mood to eat. What else should I do? If you have something to say, just say it. If you came here just to scold me, there's no need. I don't want to hear it. As soon as I finished speaking, she exploded. Let me tell you, George, this mess is you're doing. If you don't apologize, I won't let you off the hook. Yeah, George, the Gist family has cut off for supplies. You know that your brother's little company relies on the Yeast family, and now it's Ames's. We can't show our faces anymore. They were both singing the same tune, and I felt utterly disappointed. So they couldn't survive, and I was the only one capable of turning the tide. I'm not the one causing trouble. It's Mary who wants a divorce. You guys should stop crying. She won't come back. Anyway, let's leave after we finish eating this. house won't be able to be kept later. Upon hearing this, both of them were stunned and instantly furious. George, we had a marriage certificate. When we got married, if the Jig family wants a divorce, well, release the marriage certificate and see how she leaves. Marriage certificate. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. There's even this thing you've seen thecomments online, right? Tom can go from being the interloper to a true love fuldo. You think the marriage certificate is of any use, believe it or not, as long as you release the marriage certificate and say it's me, even you might leave this world overnight. I advise you to keep your heads down and behave. My words were not just alarmist. The Jennis family's power in this city is not something our family can compare to. After hearing this, my parents couldn't help but feel a bit scared, then glanced at me and silently lowered their heads to eat for a moment. The living room was calm after dinner. I sent them off and looked back at the villa, and I had an idea. This house can't be kept, otherwise it would bring more trouble later. I called a real estate agent to put the villa up for sale. Looking at the cold, empty house, I thought of Mary until Noche hadn't replied to me. Instead, I was bombarded with a flood of abusive messages and numerous harassing calls on my phone. I didn't want to pay attention, but unexpectedly, after sending my parents off, I sat at home, organizing materials when there was a commotion outside the door. Upon closer inspection, I didn't know which crazy fan had come knocking, and she even tried to throw paint on me. Fortunately, the security guard restrained her and sent her to the police station. I stood at the door watching her as that woman screamed like a madwoman, "George, you want diagudith?" I really couldn't take it anymore and directly called Mary. After ringing for over 10 times, she finally picked up, her cold voice coming through. "Are you done making a scene?" Tom's return represents the Twinkle family. He has a partnership with our Yeast family if things aren't stable. I impatiently interrupted her. "Mary, your plans have nothing to do with me, but let me remind you, during the divorce cooling off period, as long as I don't go through this marriage can't be dissolved if you continue to let them smear me. Don't blame me. I won't give face to anyone. You have one day to handle all the online comments. If you don't clarify, I don't mind helping you." After saying that, I hung up. Damn it. I have my temper to smearing me. Even if I came from a book, they can't treat me like this. Moreover, they know very well the real interloper is. I don't know if my harsh words scared her, but soon Mary made a statement online, hoping everyone wouldn't engage in online violence. This led Ninis to praise her for her beauty and kindness, once again putting them in the spotlight. "Mary, well done. I had my parents give me the marriage certificate and bought it out for $3 million. Spending this money hurt my heart, but there was no other way. This bill would be on Mary with the marriage certificate in hand." This was personally written by the old man of the JIS family, along with his private seal. "I'm truly sorry, old man, you passed away, and I still have to drag you out to take the hit, but who told them to bully me so much? However, now is not the time. Let the bullets fly for a while." Perhaps feeling confident of victory, at this moment, Tom actually came accompanied by the agent. After some time apart, Tom's aura had changed again, high and mighty, exuding an intimidating presence. Now his eyes were filled with sharpness. "I bought this house." As soon as he opened his mouth, it was impossible to refuse. I chuckled lightly. "You really a lot of money, 30% more than your asking price. I don't want Mary's things to fall into your hands after selling the house. Please leave the city." He shouldn't have said it. Now that he did, I really wouldn't comply. "I'm not selling it to you." Sure enough, Tom frowned slightly. After hearing this and made a gesture, I knew that every time he made this gesture, it meant he had to succeed. I extended a finger and shook my head. "Tom, no discussion. If you want to buy a house, have Mary come over. Other wouldn't even think about it." Tom's expression was displeased, and he radiated a chill that scared the agent into silence. "George, do you really think I wouldn't dare to move against you?" "Tom, you're really unable to attend the wedding because of a car accident abroad." Upon hearing this, Tom's face changed in shock, and I couldn't help but shake my phone. "Those schedules of yours others may not know, but I am very clear. If you'd want to provoke me into a situation where we both lose, then you'd better not appear in front of me. Get lost." Tom clenched his jaw, looking at me with indignation, but in the end he still ifed. This guy really thought I was a soft pieman. Mary could divorce me, but if she wanted to fight me for property that I wouldn't allow, the vast Yates family thought they could dismiss me with $30 million and a villa. I had agreed before, because of the money now, to take back the villa. Sorry, I want to do it. Moreover, diary recorded that this villa was the place where George and Mary first met. The backyard was filled with rose. George had personally planted. This was of great significance to George. I had taken over his body and deeply felt tremendous fear of losing the villa. Tom wanted the villa precisely because it had the rose garden. He knew George's feelings for Mary and wouldn't allow anyone to covet it, so he wanted to destroy it. In fact, Tom was even more ruthless than I had imagined. If the deal fell through, he would simply set it on fire. By the time I realized something was wrong, the thick smoke had already spread into the room. Fortunately, the security discovered it in time and put out the fire. I had already passed out by the time they rescued me. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Mary was at me bedside, and when she saw I was awake, she said lightly, "You're fine now, so it'll leave first." I grab her wrist. Mary, it was him, we both knew. Who him referred to. Mary shook me off. George, I didn't expect you to set the fire and frame Tom frame. I was so angry, I almost laughed. Think whatever you want, just don't regret it. Mary's face turned ugly as she slammed the door and left. I was puzzled. Is this the female lead? How could such a brainless person be the female lead? She insisted on forcing me to present evidence and rubber. Facing it, a day passed, and Mary started to take action, with roving the trending topic. I knew this was just on the surface. In reality, the JIS family had already gone too dissatisfied with her marrying me, was just to stabilize the situation, and now wanting a divorce was really not a good idea. I found Mary's cousin Gary. He swirled his wineglass, looking at me with a half-smile. George, I underestimated you. The Yees family looked down on me, but even an aunt has its Daito turnover. I pushed a stack of documents over. If you want to win, it's up to you. Gary opened the document bag, took a glance, and his eyes immediately lit up. Reliable, of course, for the past 3 years. I haven't just been warming her bed, I had checked everything that needed checking, knowing full well that she had Samione in her heart. Having gained the favor of the young lady, George still couldn't help but feel jealous of that man. He used all his connections to investigate Tom, and by a twist of fate, I got the upper hand. I hadn't wanted to do it this way, but unfortunately, Tom wouldn't let me go. The Venus family company was already on the brink of bankruptcy. I was next. Gary raised an eyebrow. There is indeed sincerity, but can Mary really collapse? Tom is still around. Don't worry, it won't last long. Leave this to me. Gary smiled at me, Andy. Both raised our glasses to drink. Originally, I intended to just take the money and leave, but Mary, in her L-struck state, insisted on saving Tom and almost burned me in the process, so I couldn't help but fight back. After leaving the private club, I organized everything that had happened during this time. I simply posted a wedding photo and the marriage certified online, which instantly blew up the trending searches. Neons flocked to my social media account. What the hell, weren't you the one forcing the marriage? Still not divorced? Does that mean Tom is the third wheel? Tom, the president, wouldn't be a third. Well, it's clearly you trying to clear your name. This circle is really chaotic. We'll just focus on eating popcorn regardless of whether it's genuine or not. Mary and George indeed haven't divorced. Mary cheated during the marriage. During this time, Tom and Mary were like conjoined twins, whether in public or at private gatherings. They were frequently photographed together, not to mention, every time they appeared they acted intimately. Tom had that possessive look of "this is my woman," and his brainless fans edited a lot of videos. For him, the images were simply too beautiful, directly nailing Tom and Mary to the pillar of shame. My relationship with Mary was arranged by our parents with no forced marriage involved. It was entirely the JIS family that came to us. Marriage certificate is solid evidence. Some means questioned why we didn't have a wedding, and then some anonymously posted footage from the wedding scene, although it was held together with the company's anniversary celebration. All the necessary elements were there. I don't know who this enthusiastic Zen is, but they did a great job. The online buzz grew hotter and Mary couldn't sit still anymore. She called me frantic, but I didn't answer, so she came directly to my door. With the villa on fire, I could only stay in a hotel. Mary barged, and while I was soaking in the bathtub, as soon as Sheriston, she immediately turned away. Trembling with anger, "George, stop talking nonsense and clear your social media account." I clicked my tongue in Amazamenshu. All slander me online. Tom sent someone to burn down my villa, and now you want to silence me. Mary, you lack sincerity when asking for help. You need to have the right attitude. Mary took a deep breath. "It'll give you 50 million. You clarify and say that it was you who forced the marriage, and Tom wasn't the third wheel for Tom." She really dared to say that. Mary, don't you understand? Right now you have no right to set conditions. As long as I don't agree, no one will have it easy. You don't care about the Venus family's bankruptcy anymore. I got out of the bathtub, put on my clothes, stood behind her, and hugged her too tightly, whispering in her ear, "The Venus family has nothing to do with me." She trembled all over, never expecting I would say such a thing, and I tightened my grip around her waist, sneering in her. "Mary, you still have time to regret. Why not break up with Tom, and we can get back together?" I deliberately tested her, giving her one last chance. Mary suddenly pushed me away, glaring at me. "Fierce sale, you wish Tom won't let you off. All right, then I want to see what trick your Tom is left. Get out. You're about to get deep, and you still want to sneak a peek at me bathing. It would be bad if Tom misunderstood." Mary angrily turned to Liv, and I couldn't help but smile as I took out my phone and sent a message. It was time to reel in the net. Mary couldn't deny that as soon as Tom opened his mouth online, he was immediately bombarded with criticism. He tried to do a live stream to explain himself, but soon enough the flood of nets taught him a lesson. Some even confronted him directly, questioning whether he had interfered in our marriage. The marriage certificate and wedding documents were undeniable facts, no matter how Tom tried to wash his hands of it. He couldn't change that, so he simply stopped talking. More he remained silent, the more his guilt settled in. I also timely released the ridiculous videos of Tom abroad. This guy was not being faithful to Mary overseas. He was surrounded by women, enjoying himself immensely. I even specially packaged and sent it to Mary, hoping they could have a calm discussion. When Gary and I were drinking, he was in a great mood. Don't be fooled by Mary's fierce exterior, she actually has a cleanliness obsession. How many people do you think she's been with since being with you? After being with Tom, it was like the sky fell and the earth cracked a blazing fire. I didn't expect Tom to be such a player. I couldn't help but laughing. The novel. Tom was the male lead and a domineering CEO with countless women around him. How could he possibly remain faithful to Mary? For him, as long as he wasn't married, those women were just passing by just for fun. Gary tapped the table. When do you plan to leave? In 7 days it will be time. You need to hurry. Gary understood and immediately dropped another bomb. This was a video, and 3 years ago, on the day of the wedding, showing Tom in a foreign hospital on the wedding day. Mary had called Tom, even saying she was willing to elope if he came. Unfortunately, Tom was busy, having fun with a woman in a hotel, and ended up in the hospital. To make Mary believe him, he even used a car accident as an excuse. Now the infatuated persona had collapsed. Mary was shaking with anger, arguing with Tom, and it was all caught by paparazzi watching the footage of Tom gripping Mary's neck. Her face, filled with shock and hurt, he surprisingly felt no sympathy, but instead opened a bottle of red wine. The wheel of fortune turns. Mary, do you see clearly now? This is your true soulmate. What domineering CEO? What love that grows over time? It's all just lust. Tom is not some gentle second male lead in his world. Women are merely accessoristo men, and even though Mary was groomed as an heir, deep down, she was still a little woman she couldn't accept Tom's betrayal, and Tom couldn't accept Mary's dictatorial ways. These two were at impasse, with neither willing to back down and say something soft, so it was naturally impossible for them to last. When I saw Mary, she was completely soaked, standing at the door, wrapped in her wet clothes, and as soon as she saw me, she lunged at me. I stepped back 2 paces and Mary fell short, her fist full of hurt. George, I was deceived by him. You don't want me anymore? In just a few days, Mary seemed to have aged 10 years, once cold as ice and stunningly beautiful, now her makeup was ruined. Ange was drenched, it was raining outside, and she barged in like that, not caring how many people saw her, but I didn't care. Mary, am not a garbage dump. Why are you regretting it now? My words stunned her. George, we are still husband and wife. Why do you have to be like this, husband and wife? How ridiculous. You see Tom's true colors now, so you regret and for me, disgusting. Mary looked at me in disbelief. She knew that in the past, no matter what she did, I would forgive her, especially seeing her in such a sorry state would usually break my heart, but I wasn't really George. I just felt she deserved it. Mary clearly couldn't accept me like this, quickly grabbing my hand. George, I was wrong. I misjudged. You can forgive me. I remained expressionless. Just because you were wrong, I have to forgive you, Mary. No one will wait for you. George, you don't want me anymore. You said you would love me no matter what. I shook my finger. If you had said this a month ago, I would have told you that I still love you, but now I feel dirty. Mary stumbled a couple of steps, looking at me with trembling lips. I didn't. Are you trying to tell me you didn't sleep with that man? Emotional cheating is still cheating, no matter how you explain it to yourself. In my heart, I pointed to my chest. There's no room for you here anymore. Impossible. Mary lunged at me, her hands tightly gripping my arm, causing me to frown in pain. Then I looked at her. Bother. No, I can't believe we missed this. George, you still love me, right? I can change. Don't be silly, just fo. I push her out while handing her the previous diary and photo album. Let's part on good terms. Remember to come to Civil Affairs Bureau the day after tomorrow, or it'll expose even more shocking details. Mary took the things and glanced at them, tears streaming down her face. I expressionlessly closed the door. This woman, though beautiful, was confused, foolish, and malicious. I wouldn't want there. 2 days later, Mary showed up on time at the Civil Affairs Bureau, clearly looking more haggard. She still thought she could make one last struggle with me. George, can we not get divorced immorvant? I rejected her without hesitation, and her face immediately darkened. Smiled, patted her shoulder, and went inside. 10 minutes later, holding the bright red divorce certificate, I sighed in relief, waved at her, and turned to leave. Mary, grab me. We can start over. No one will wait for you. I could clearly feel the soul within me trembling. Then I felt at ease. It seemed the real George had also seen clearly. He had given up Mary, didn't want to let go, but how could I allow myself to be entangled with that woman next? I released the divorce certificate once again, pushing myself into the training topics. Medicine flooded in. Wow, I really caught the follow-up, but bro, you really got divorced at a bro, finally rid of the bad woman. Bro, I apologize for causing you. Before bro, how much did you get for divorcing? Mary, can you share? The Neens really cared about me. Among them were quite a few trolls trying to frame me, wanted to see how much I gained from the JS family. I smiled. The inspection report from the fire department had clearly confirmed that my house was set on fire intentionally, and the arsonist had been caught and was currently on trial. I couldn't say much, just posted a picture of the CH house telling them I was homeless. Everyone began to discuss it. Tom was also pushed to the forefront. Anyone with eyes knew this. Fire was related to him. This guy is really bad if. Can't have it. Hell resort to violence. Severely punish the culprit. I don't know what Mary is thinking. How could she? Like Tom, I used to think. Tom was quite handsome, but now he just seems Gracie. This rotten cucumber should go too. Mary, I suggest locking up the scumbag and the cheap woman. Tom's reputation. Again, Gary also began to make his move at the right time. Mary was held accountable by the board for her divorce and the various projects she was responsible for began to collapse. To varying degrees, Gary leaped in devouring her shares and used her negative public image as an excuse to join other board members in dismissing her. Mary completely fell from grace, and there was nothing she could do to resist a servant from her old house. Secretly told me that Mary had started selling her properties. The amount she was in debt was too large, and the board required her to bear the losses herself, so she was likely to sell quite a few houses this time. I was relieved to have divorced her, otherwise I would have to bear half of that debt. Tom wasn't doing well either. He returned from abroad originally, hoping to use the opportunity of reconciling with Mary to elevate Twinkle to new heights. Unexpectedly, this backfired spectacularly. Twinkle's real estate company was exposed for using substandard materials and injuring workers. It wasn't a big deal. Initial Ithy just needed to pay compensation. Unfortunately, Tom, used to being on high ground, let his bodyguards injure the protesters. Just in time, a reporter caught it on camera, coinciding with Thesidy's new construction, and the footage was seen by Hughes, who demanded severe punishment. In an instant, Winkle's image plummeted. Tom was also arrested. Reportedly, when he was captured, he still acted like he was the president of Twinkle Group, demanding that lawyers deal with the hidden culprits. I took the opportunity to spend a little money to get him trending on social media, and Tom became the target of public outrage. Various legal experts began to educate him on the law. I shook my head. As the dominant male lead under the original author's pen, he could act recklessly, and even illegal actions were overlooked. Butender, my influence. This world began to normalize, and everything fell into place. Tom spent a fortune to get out, compensating the injured over $2 million, and had to demolish and rebuild the already constructed building. This was another cost, and the owners of that building gathered voluntarily service the work daily, ready to call the police at the slightest mistake. Tom was in deep trouble. Seeing this scene, I smiled. A transfer notification came through on my phone. Gary sent me $100 million, which was the stake I wanted when I collaborated with him. With the money, I bought myself a large flat and then started taking on orders myself. Life was simple yet fulfilling, but I was a bit scared. Would I also be erased with the fall of the male and female leads? After living cautiously for half a year, I found that it seemed to have no impact, and I breathed a sigh of relief. After Tom went bankrupt, there was no news from him, and I didn't care when Gary invited me out for dinner. I happened to run into Mary. She had a sour expression, and when she saw me, she was momentarily stunned before reacting. You two actually teamed up to trick me? Gary shrugged. You play with fire, you get burned. It's your own problem for playing a good hand poorly. Smiled, and Mary seemed unwilling to accept this fact. She rushed up to question me. George, how dare you? I shot her a glance, snapped my fingers, and immediately a waiter came over. May I ask what you need? I pointed at Mary. I remember this place is members only. Why? She allowed in. Mary was instantly stunned, and a man beside her immediately appeared, bowing to Gary and me. I'm sorry. Just came by to eat today. I didn't mean to disturb. He pulled. Mary, hurry up and come with me. Mary shook him off. Who do you think you are to give me orders? The man unhesitatingly slapped her across the face. Do you still think you, Rhea, precious young lady, hurry up and come with me or you'll regret it. Where has Mary ever suffered like this? Got into a fight right there and was kicked out by the waiter. I smiled as I watched her walk away. Did you sell her? Gary shrugged. A woman without brains. Her only value left is for marriage. The man is a downstream supplier. With him, costs can be reduced by 20%. I shrugged. That's true, although Mary isn't very bright. She does have a decent appearance, even though I once loved her. Seeing her in such a miserable state now doesn't shake him at all. This is all her own doing. Gary and I exchanged smiles with money, and at house we're satisfied for this lifetime. A scumbag woman, never to be seen again.